Welcome, everyone, to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast Show. And on this episode, it's one of our favorite guests. He always gets great reviews every time he's here. And yes, we know he's not a wrestler, but he can kick a lot of wrestlers' asses. It's the one and only UFC fighter, Nathan Mayhem Maness. How's it going, sir?
Everything's good. How you guys doing?
Doing well, doing well. Now, June 25th, and we say this every time you're on the show, it's your biggest fight to date. And you're taking on, and here we go, Umar Nurmagomedov. Yes, I got the name right. It's always so tricky, a.k.a. Khabib's cousin. And a very, very important fight for you because he comes in undefeated. He comes in with a lot of hype. And if this does not get you into that top 15 ranking, perhaps top 10 ranking, I don't know what will. So tell us your thoughts on that fight as of right now.
Yeah, man, I was super excited about it. I really wasn't sure who they were going to give me. They haven't really given me anybody that I've called for, but I think they believe in me. They're giving me a number 18 guy. I'm ranked number 30 right now, so it's a big step up. I think they're trying to get me in there. And, like you said, with a win here, I should definitely be right there in the top 15.
Wow, I didn't know that they had you as low as 30. That's mind-boggling, especially when some of the people that are above you are hit and miss on their wins and losses, or take longevity breaks, of which are ridiculous. I'm one of those people, unless you actually have an injury, let's just say like a Stipe Miocic, of course, is injured for about 9 months. Yeah, I probably wouldn't drop him too far from the rankings. There are guys always ranked above you who hardly ever fight.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, I think they believe in me. I think they're throwing me in there. I think this is a prospect eliminator fight. He's 14-0. I'm 14-1. I don't think there'll be anybody on the card with our kind of record. So I think this is a big fight.
And how's your training been? Feeling pretty comfortable? Anything that you're changing up this time?
Well, everything feels good. I brought in Trace Ekman. You guys probably know him there, Union County. So get in some good wrestlers. I'm sure Umar will come and at least grapple at some point in the fight. Other than that, everything's been smooth sailing, man. My weight is perfect. I can make weight tomorrow if I needed to. Everything's coming together.
You mentioned Trace Ekman. For people who may not know who that is, he's a Kentucky State wrestling high school champion. Just graduated this year, but he's a heck of a talent on the mat. And I would assume that is kind of your game plan, fighting, someone of that caliber. You do not want to get taken down. And you've got pretty good takedown defense. You've always shown that so far in your career. But it seems like perhaps his takedown ability may be the highest that you've ever faced someone.
Yeah, and Tony was a D1 guy too, but their styles are a lot different. Tony had a little bit more skillful tricks, whereas Umar is kind of like Khabib. He just kind of comes forward, bullies, more strength. I feel pretty strong at 135. I don't know if he's going to be able to muscle me around. If he can, more props to him, but I'm going to be in the fight for sure. But yeah, he's definitely probably the best opponent that I fought. He's probably better than Tony. He's got a real awkward style, a lot of teep kicks, question mark kicks. He doesn't do a lot of boxing. So maybe we can get in his face, make him use his hands, create some opportunities for me to land something hard.
You mentioned the Tony Gravely, and after the Tony Gravely fight, of course, you've had almost an 8 to 9 month hiatus here due to a fracture in your jaw. How is that?
Yeah, everything feels fine, man. I got cleared late January. So after that, man, it was just about getting in shape and getting sharp. I probably could have been ready to fight a little sooner, but I guess they were holding me out for this fight specifically. And we got it together. We're ready to go.
Now, I've got kind of a question. It's a little bit off topic, but with the fact that, you're going to be a father, does that put any kind of different mentality in there for, legacy and things like that, and wanting to, make sure that you're, leaving something behind?
Yeah, I think there's definitely something different to it. I don't know if you could ever put more pressure than I put on myself already. I'm always coming to win. I want to succeed. That's how I've always been. But you definitely feel the need to at least earn more money and, do stuff that, you're going to give them a good life. And we just bought this house. So maybe a little different pressures, but I wouldn't say more. I'm still going in there to win like I always am. Still looking to entertain. And I think he'll see that win or lose what I was going in there to do. And that's put a show on for the fans, and I'm trying to get a win.
Yeah, it does seem like since the last time we spoke to you, a lot has happened in your personal life as far as, like Tom mentioned, you're about to be a father, you've just purchased a new home. But that's through all this hard work, that you were able to do this type of thing. And sometimes when people start making money, they start lacking on their ability to push forward and push through all the hard times, especially in training. I remember Shaquille O'Neal said, most centers in basketball were done playing high school by the time they were done playing basketball by the time they were in high school, but they saw the money, so they kept going. And then once they got the contract, they just couldn't care anymore. So how hard is it to just mentally always stay focused?
If I was a basketball player with those multi-million-dollar contracts, I don't know how I'd feel. But what I'm doing right now, man, I don't know about you guys, but my wife can spend it pretty fast. I can't really settle down and take too many breaks. We got to be out there grinding.
Oh, Cassandra. Oh.
She hears me. She knows.
Hey, but you know what? And it's one of those things when you become a parent, I'll tell people it's the greatest stress you'll ever have. And yeah, if people used to always rag me all the time, like if I would go on a trip, I'd bring my kids home a toy or something. They're like, every time we go somewhere, you're bringing your kid home a toy. And it's like, well, I don't know if tomorrow I'll be able to bring them home a toy, so I'm gonna do it now. Are you gonna go into fatherhood kind of that way as well?
Yeah, I think so, man. I've been waiting for this for a long time. We were trying for at least 2 years. I've always wanted to be a father. I think I'm going to do probably a lot more than, most parents would. I'm going to be there every step of the way, and definitely bringing home the toys and all that kind of stuff for sure.
I pray that you have a son. And the reason why is I would hate to be the guy who knocks on the door to take your daughter out the first time, especially if your career keeps going the way it's going.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything about no daughter, man. It's not that I wouldn't love her. It's just that she's going to have me wrapped around her finger. It's going to be bad for everybody. She'll end up hating me. I'm going to be right there every step of the way.
So what do you got? Like, I don't want to get into details on training and things like that, but are you looking at doing anything different? Like anything at all?
We're pretty much just sticking with what works. I got the same team around me. I've had pretty much the same team my whole career. Outside I bring in like Trace. I always bring in a couple of new guys here and there, but the base stays the same. I'm doing this week. I've been basically doing 3-a-days every day. Training hard, working on the cardio. The power is always there. So I mean, we're staying to the grind like we always have.
Now, is there anything, as far as coming from Umar, is there anything that you're looking at from him that you feel like could be a challenge?
Yeah, he's got really great kicks. Super fast. He's got a lot of hip flexibility. He gets them up without any kind of telegraphing. I'm not sure how much power they have. I don't think he could put me away with one, but you definitely don't want to stand on the outside and get picked apart. If you get too close, he's always got the takedowns and the grappling. Really good on the back, so I got to keep him off my back. I think the game plan's real simple, but going in there, it's going to be difficult. But we know what we need to do.
When you fought Tony, we saw something in you that we very rarely see. He did clip you pretty well, but you were able to recover. Now, once you're clipped like that, does that kind of play into your mind a little bit to change things up as far as your stand-up goes, or do you just wipe that slate clean and just stay focused?
I've done some small stuff, just keeping my hands a little higher, chin down a little bit. Some things you could get away with on the regional scene I think that's with everybody, though. You got to make adjustments once you get to this level, but not changing up anything major. I showed some different stuff in that Tony fight. I took him down. I recovered well. I didn't panic. I think I can take Umar down. I think he's got a lot to worry about, too. If he comes in there just trying to do what he's going to do, throw his kicks, take me down, and be an easy night, he's going to be surprised.
And that is something too, because in your very first UFC fight, you were taken down and you basically won the fight from the bottom. And so you are someone who can overcome that. If he was to be able to take you down and try to lay and prey on you, you know how to rack up the points. So that is an advantage, I think, for you.
Yeah, if he ends up getting me down, we're going to be active. We're going to be throwing elbows. trying to create that space. And once he postures up, we're back to our feet. There's not going to be any rest spots. If he's pushing me up against the cage, I'm going to his body. I'm throwing elbows, knees. I'm looking to stay active and make him work for everything he gets in there.
Now, me and Tom have got a kind of a bone to pick with the UFC. If anyone doesn't know, UFC continuously releases these trading card sets. And so they just released their brand new UFC Donna Russ set for 2022. And we checked the checklist. And again, you're not on the checklist. I mean, have you heard anything about you perhaps getting a card? There was a child in line at Walmart who said, I wonder if Nathan Maness is in this card set.
I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah,
man.
we have to break the news like, he's not. He's not.
No, I haven't heard anything like that, man. I get a lot of messages about when are you going to be in the game and things like that. Man, I don't hear nothing about it. I don't know how they decide things like that. Out of my paycheck range, man. I don't know.
Now, is that something that you look forward to? Is that in the back of your mind that you hope that, obviously your career takes off to the point where maybe they're doing action figures of Nate Maness and they got all these trading cards? Is that something you ever think about, or you just kind of stay focused on the work?
Yeah, I haven't thought about it a whole lot, but I think if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, all those things will come to you in time. I'm just trying to win fights. And if you win enough, you'll get all those extra things. And if it ends up not happening, it's not really a big deal to me. It's just one of those things you can look back on and be like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, because I would assume that there's some kind of royalty involved with some of that as far as them using your likeness for something. So it maybe leads to another little small check here and there. So, yeah, but it would be definitely cool to have a Nathan Maness rated rookie card from Donna Russ. It would be pretty sweet, I think.
Yeah, man. One of the big things that that'd be pretty cool. We've been talking about it for a long time. Brad's trying to get the home of Nathan Maness on the Morganfield, coming into Morganfield. I'm still waiting on that, man. That's one of those things outside of fighting that would actually mean quite a bit to me. That'd be pretty cool to, show my kid growing up and things like that. So that's something I'm still trying to get a hold of.
That's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
It's real political. Let me just say that. We are living around here. A lot of people don't really realize that. We've had quite a few big name people actually come from Union County. Dwayne Casey, who's an NBA coach.
Yeah.
We have Cassie DePavier, who's a soap star. Mallory's involved quite a bit in a lot of things that she does as well. I'm a best-selling author. You're a fighter.
Right.
There's things that happen sometimes, but at the end of the day, your true circle knows who you are. And that's the way I've kind of tried to look at some things sometimes. And, when I wrote my first book, my goal was to sell one book to one person I didn't know personally. And when I did that, that's a success. So when people outside of this community are starting to talk about you on TV, on shows, man, that's a win.
Yeah. Maybe we're spoiling them too much. Maybe we got too much talent coming out.
We're still waiting for that new Tag MMA show to hit the airport. That's what it is.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Hey, that was a great show, though. That was a great show that night.
Yeah, it was.
All right. So outside of your own fight, are you looking forward to any in particular fight on that card that maybe you're going to have a chance to stop and kind of watch?
The Chris Curtis, I can't think of the jiu-jitsu guy's name. Rolfo Vieira or something like that, maybe. They're at 185. I fought on some regional scene fights with Chris Curtis. He's somebody that my guys up at Nice Guy know pretty well. Really good boxing. Put away Phil Halls and another guy. He's a killer, man. So I'm excited to watch that fight.
And the main event on that show is who?
Armand Tuscarin, and I can't think of the guy he's fighting. He's another. I think he's a Russian. But Armand's a killer, man. He's a beast. He's an up and coming guy. I follow him on Instagram. He's a tough dude. This would be our second fight card together. So I'm excited to watch his fight too.
I wanted to get your opinion on something. I really feel like, in a way, and this could be very controversial to a lot of UFC fans, that the UFC right now is really struggling on making new stars outside of the lightweight division, which is totally stacked.
Yeah.
With killers. There's just matchups that I'm having trouble getting invested in. You look at Glover. He's been around for a long time now. Now he's the champ. Now he's fighting Ejiri. So, and then you have rematch after rematch after rematch, and it's just because they can't make stars. Is there anything that you think that right now, perhaps, that the UFC could do to kind of help that situation? And is there a fight right now that you would love to make if you were a matchmaker?
I think they really put a lot of that on us. I'm not sure how much they really put the hype train together. Like they go in and they promote Sean O'Malley, but he's done all that himself. He's just a promotable guy. Things that he's done on his own. Connor come over and took over doing his own thing. That wasn't the UFC. Even guys as big as like John Jones was never a big pay-per-view sale guy. I think they can market you as much as they want, but you really got to connect with the fans on your own. I think that's a lot to do with the fighters and not so much to do with the UFC. If I was going to put on a fight, I would put Nate Maness and Sean O'Malley for sure. I think that's I think that's the one, man. I don't know.
Hey, he's at least going to fight someone who's ranked next, right?
Yeah, he's fighting Pedro Munoz.
Yeah. So
I think Pedro's like 0-2 or 0-3 in his last couple. So I think he's still kind of cherry picking a little bit, but it is in the top 10. So I'll give him some credit.
I'm hoping one day we can get that fight. I mean, I really am. I know it's a fight that you're really wanting, is Sugar Sean. But I feel like and maybe the UFC feels the same way, that his marketability is above yours right now. Yeah. But I think one day it's going to be a matchup they can't deny anymore.
If I can put out Umar, man, it's going to get real, real close to him not being able to have a choice. We're going to be right there. I think he's ranked maybe 13 or 14 right now. This will put me right there. If he beats Pedro, I mean, there's only like 6 or 7 spots in between us. It's going to happen if we both keep doing what we're supposed to do.
Now, one of the issues that I feel like they have with building stars is it seems like there's a pay-per-view or a show every week. Mm-hmm. And, most people cannot watch every single card. Now, I know it's great for people that are trying to make their way and get some fights and get some wins because it gives them an opportunity. But do you feel like the market for that is kind of oversaturated, or do you feel like it kind of works itself out in the end?
For hardcore, I think you can't get enough fights. I think for guys that really love the sport, we'll watch every card. But for like the newer people that, kind of tune in for the bigger cards, it could be a little over, saturated. But I mean, you got to pick your poison at some point. You know what I mean? I think the more times we can get out there and do what we do, even the casuals will see the highlights, this guy getting knocked out, and they'll eventually remember your name. So me personally, you might be asking the wrong guy. I don't think you can have too many fights.
Now, is there a guy out there right now that you just love to watch? He's absolutely your favorite fighter outside of watching yourself on TV, but.
Yeah, I love watching TJ Dillashaw fight. I still like watching Jose Aldo. I'm a pretty big Aljamain Sterling fan. I know there's a lot of people in my weight class, but those are a lot of the guys I'm watching. I know me and Adrian Yanez have said each other's names, but I love watching him fight. He goes in there and throws. Man, it's a bunch of my guy, Justin Gaethje. He doesn't care to get hit just to give you one. I love guys like that are willing to jump into the fire. So anybody that kind of fits that bill, I'm a fan of.
That's the fight I want next for you is Yanez, because Yanez actually has a red rookie Donruss card, and if you can put him away, you're getting the card.
Yeah, I'm down for that, man. I think he is too. I actually thought it was going to be this fight. He had been waiting for about as long as I had for a fight, about 4 or 5 weeks. We've been waiting around, and that Houston card he ended up getting on, which is like a week before mine. I thought that's what we were going to be doing. I thought I'd be going to Houston and fighting him in his hometown, but I guess the UFC had other plans.
Now, there's a lot of rumbling over the last couple of weeks that we're getting closer and closer to John Jones versus Stipe at the heavyweight. And to me, that's a fight that really interests me, because I've always been interested in John Jones actually going up to heavyweight, because let's be honest, a lot of the heavyweights really aren't that heavy. They should almost have a super heavyweight division for about 3 or 4 guys, but everyone else is right around that, 240 type range. If that match comes to fruition, who do you pick?
I still got to go with John Jones. I think as far as a skill level, I don't think anybody at that class matches him skill for skill. Everybody talks about the big punch, but I don't know if we've ever even seen John really rocked. He takes everybody's shot. I got to go with John until he proves me different, man. He's just a different kind of animal.
And I know there's a lot of backlash on John Jones, because outside of the sport, he's done a lot of terrible things, but I still think he's probably one of the best skill guys I've ever seen, ever in UFC. He's probably one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. I know there's some doping allegations and things like that, but you can't deny the man as far as his ability in the cage. And there for a while, he would fight anyone that would call his name out.
Yeah, I agree. The only, like you said, the doping stuff is the only thing you can really say about his fighting. Outside of that, he's definitely in the top three no matter what. But I definitely wouldn't have an argument about him being the best.
Now, with being in the UFC world, so looking at the guys who are in the heavyweight weight class, and they're fighting, they're active, they're doing these things, they're waiting for their shot. Do you have a different perspective on whether they deserve that type of matchup, or if some of these guys that are working their tail off, if they should actually get a shot
over somebody like John?
Yeah, he's talking about jumping the line. Like someone like John automatically jumps the line.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. If you're going to argue with that, you're going to lose every single time. And when John Jones decides who he wants to fight, when he wants to fight, the UFC is going to make that happen. You're kind of seeing it with Conor right now. They're still talking about maybe a title fight for Conor. He hasn't won in like 4 years, but that's just the way it plays out. Are they more deserving? Probably not. Are they going to get what they want? Absolutely. That's just the way it goes, honestly.
Yeah, there's no doubt if Ronda Rousey called Dana White tomorrow and said she wants to fight for the title, she's next after Pena and Nunes fight again. She's next because they have such a hard time with pay-per-view buys right now. And as far as, especially coming out of COVID, they're trying to make up for some money that they did not get. So anything that can put some asses in some seats and sell some pay-per-views, they're going to go all for.
Yeah, I agree. And just if GSP comes back, Khabib comes back, I mean, there's just certain guys are going to get exactly what they want, and it's hard to argue against it.
Do you think Khabib ever comes back?
I don't think so. I've heard I don't know if you guys heard about him and Tony Ferguson maybe coaching the next Ultimate Fighter. Maybe Tony can get under his skin, enough in 6 weeks to really make him upset and come back. But I highly doubt it. I would put my bet that he doesn't come back. He's maybe 205, 210 now. I mean, he's looking pretty stacked.
Yeah, and he's somebody else. I always wondered how well he would do if he was to move up in a weight class as well. And then, of course, you got Izzy, who did go up to 205, and he struggled there. So when you see some of these great fighters struggle moving up to weight, are you satisfied there at 135, or are you looking to make a jump sometime as well?
I think, honestly, if I was going to make a jump, it'd be down to 125. As light as I'm walking around right now and how I'm feeling, I'm definitely too small for 145 right now. Maybe that changes in the next, 4 or 5 years. But yeah, man, you got to pick your own weight class and commit to it. I think Khabib made the smart move. He picked 155 where there's not too many wrestlers. You got Poirier, Gaethje, Conor, guys like that. Whereas at 170, you got Usman, Colby Covington. I think he made a smart decision and did what was best for him.
Who's pound for pound the best fighter in the UFC right now?
I think it's hard to argue against Usman. I'm not the biggest fan, but he's really active. He puts guys away now with his hands. He's got his wrestling ability. Nobody else has really been long-term champ. Charles Oliveira's putting guys away, but he's doing it. He's getting dropped in his fights. I know some people kind of look bad on that. I think you got to go with Usman. Izzy going up to 205, even though it was a risk, he still took that loss. He hasn't been putting too many guys away here recently, going to some decisions. I'd have to go with Kamaru Usman.
Well, and Oliveira, missed weight recently, so
right. Yeah, there's a lot to do with that scale, man. I've heard so many different things. I really have a hard time of what I think about it. I don't know if you guys have heard it or not.
I did hear that the scale was kind of messed up, but I mean, it doesn't matter. Even if he was, that's the thing that kills me sometimes about the UFC and the weight classes. I think that it should be 135 to 140. Mm-hmm. Like there should be a 5-pound differential, because I don't think 5 pounds in the ring, and maybe you can prove me wrong on this because you're there, matters that much. I mean, it didn't matter to me he was a 10th over the weight or not. I mean, he just came out and got Gaethje.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Like I know for a fact I could make 130 here in a couple of days. If you got one of the actual flyweights who are like 5'4" and there can make 125, I'm going to have a pretty big advantage over guys like that. So, I mean, I just think it depends on where you're coming down from. Guys that are in similar weight range, it doesn't really matter. If other 35s want to weigh in at 140, I've done that before. I think the only big thing would be guys like maybe Kamaru Usman coming down and hitting 65 and catching somebody in there where he's going to be massive coming into the fight. I think it really just depends on the guy.
Go ahead, Tom.
Sorry. My screen was freezing up. So one of the things I was going to ask is about the weight classes. Do you like it when you see the competitors going to different weight classes and holding up the divisions with championships? Is that something that bothers you at all?
I'm not against guys moving up. I think you always got to at least defend your belt in a timely manner. You can jump like Izzy jumped up and come right back down and defended his belt. I'm okay with that. But if you're going to hold out a division, especially a division that has clear-cut contenders, you can't be having those guys wait, 10 months where they're not getting the paychecks and, they don't want to risk their number one contendership. It's something that they've already earned, their title fight. If you're being active, I don't have a problem with it. Holding the division up for 10 plus months, I think you're doing everybody a disservice.
All right, we got to get it. What's your prediction for the fight? When are you finishing him?
I think the second round is always a clean bet. I tend to start a little slow. I'll go a second round knockout.
Yeah, you always get our nerves up on the first round, but it's okay. You always come through.
I got to get hit a few times.
Hey, hey, everybody's got a plan until you get hit. And sometimes when you get hit, a new plan arises. So
when mine comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, man, best of luck to you as always. Thanks so much for joining us. Again, that's June 23rd, correct?
25th.
25th, June 25th. Nathan goes one-on-one against Umar Nurmagomedov. Got it twice. I'm proud of myself for saying the last name twice. As always, he's looking to go 4-0 in the UFC and crack perhaps the top 15, top 10 rankings. One step closer to Sugar Sean O'Malley. So, as always, man, best of luck and stay safe. Hope you have a good weight cut and everything works out and you're able to make it to the fight safely.
All right, and I appreciate it, guys. And, we can do this after the fight's over. We can talk about the win and we'll get together for sure. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, yeah, we got to get Brad's perspective on the win right after the win. So, absolutely. Absolutely. For everyone else out there, make sure you're doing what you need to do. Stay safe and hit the subscribe button. Tom and I will be back with a new episode next week, and we greatly appreciate it for all the support as always. Again, make sure you guys are supporting Nathan. He's got some good stuff on his Instagram. Give him your Instagram and Twitter handles real quick.
Yeah, Nate Mayhem 1 on both of them. My Facebook's where I do most of my good work. But yeah, follow me on all three. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. For everyone else out there, again, stay safe, and we'll see y'all next week.